Hi everyone. My name is Vasu Gangrade. I'm a member of the SME Young Leaders Committee and the Professional Development Subcommittee. Firstly, I'm sorry that I'm not able to attend this conference. Could not travel due to some personal reasons, and I hope this video presentation works out and you are able to hear and see me. So today I'm going to talk about my journey from undergraduate student to full-time researcher. So Okay, safety share. Based on the photos everyone been sharing on WhatsApp, it seems it's pretty cold out and there in Denver. So watch out for the slippery spots on the sidewalk outside the conference center and stay warm. So today I'm going to talk about my college and industry experience and research experience. I'd also like to touch base on some of the immigration uh, things. And I'd also like to say a few things about young leaders and some of the opportunities that have come in really handy and things that I've learned from Young Leaders Committee. So, background, I graduated with my bachelor's in 2012 from Indian School of Mines. I moved to US in 2012 and I did my MS in mining engineering from the University of Utah. Then I went on to work in industry at an underground coal mine in southern Illinois. And after that, I moved to Pittsburgh to work for NIOSH, conducting mining safety research. So, just a fair disclaimer that all the thoughts and suggestions that are discussed today are mostly mine, based on my experience and things that I've learned from other people. They do not represent the official positions of any of the universities or employers that I've been associated with. So, undergraduate studies. These are some of the points that I'll be more than happy to go in detail. If some of you have more questions at the end of this presentation, they can contact me. But I'll mostly just touch base on each one of them in one or two lines. So, courses, major and minor. Uh, uh, During your undergraduate, one of the best thing one can do is like stay true to themselves and try to figure out what's the best major for them. I personally did mining engineering. Some of you are probably geologists or metallurgical engineers and other types of engineers in the rooms. Uh, so find what you love and yeah, complete your undergraduate major and like a minor in one of those subjects. So internships I think are one of the most important aspects during your undergraduate career. So I personally did three internships at underground metal, non-metal, underground coal, and a surface coal operation. And I found out that I like the coal and the underground side more. So you can learn a lot about what you like based on the internships you do. So I always recommend people to diversify their internships if possible. Student chapter, student design competition, conferences, mind rescue, all of these things are some of great places to be involved in SME and other mining activities that are going on around the country. So you meet a lot of great people here. So it's I really encourage everyone to participate and either all or some of these things regularly because you can learn a lot in these scholarships. As an undergraduate, you can apply for a number of scholarships. So these are good for your career. Some of them come with a lot of money as well, so that's good. And yeah, apply for a lot of internships. On the right, there is a list of all the scholarships that I listed. I'm sure a number of you have won many of those, so that's great. Apply for scholarships. Publications, co-author. The reason I mentioned this is like I personally did not have any publications during my undergrad because I used to think that this is only for masters and PhD and more like people who are doing research. So it's not true. You can help them, assist them, and along with your coursework, it's good. You can work with your professors. If you have more time, you can actually do publish your own work as first author. but at least if you are interested in research, it's good to start with being a co-author and assess some of the other researchers at your university. Industry contacts. This cannot be emphasized enough. So mining is basically like a village. So everybody knows everyone. News travels fast. So it's good to have as many contacts as possible. On the right, this is something I used to do. I still do. Uh, Take picture of all the business cards that I will of people that I met at the conference and write a small note at the back. One distinct thing about them. So like one card seen there. I was able to interview with that company after I graduated, just because I had their card and something I remember for them. So they were really happy about that. Uh, Future. One of the decisions you have to make at the end of your undergraduate studies if you would like to pursue graduate school or job. So maybe some of the presentations today would help you with that, and your professors and mentors can help you with that decision. Moving on, graduate studies. So I did my MS in mining engineering from the University of Utah. One of the important aspects of your graduate school is choosing your research area, your advisor, and your university. Now, a lot of this can be complicated because sometimes, like the research area you want to pursue your research, and the professor may not be there at each university. So it's good to identify the area of research that you would like to do, find, and this is where your contacts come in. You can contact different universities, find what research is going on, and what area you would like to work in. I personally did my research in area of mine ventilation. So I identified that during my undergraduate, and then I pursued a MS degree with emphasis on that. Funding, research assistantship and teaching assistantship, both can be a good source of funding for you. During your each university has a different policy of tuition waivers, so it's good to identify what your university's policy is. There are other sources of funding such as Alpha Foundation, the NIOSH capacity building projects, and some of the industry and university projects. They can also fund you. So you can actually get your education completely funded through one of these projects. I was lucky to be involved with both Alpha Foundation and capacity building projects, and I actually learned a lot meeting people at those meetings. So conferences and publications are important during a graduate school. So attending a lot of conferences, you meet number of people whom you can make collaborations with and maybe go work for in those companies. Publications again are those are basically your research outputs. So that's the bread and butter of your research. So after that, you have a decision to make of PhD or job. So I'm sure based on like the PhD, Heather and Benjamin might have shared a lot of their work. And I personally did not do a PhD. I went to school for 6 years straight, from bachelor's to MS. So I decided to pursue a job. Uh, so my industry experience. After my graduation from MS, I worked in as a ventilation engineer for Lively Grove Mine in southern Illinois. It was an underground room and pillar coal operation. We had about more than 2 million tons of coal production every year, and there was a plant next to the mine for electricity power generation. So I worked there for a year and a half. So one of the important things is using your skills in the industry. Uh, so you can use different types of skills. These are just some skills that I've listed there. That were really helpful to me when I was in at the mine. So obviously, you will use your mining skills if you're a mining engineer. You would also use your geology. I was able to use some of the drilling coursework that I did during my undergraduate studies. Surveying, I did a lot of surveying with the survey crew and ventilation survey as a ventilation engineer. Health and safety, risk management, these are some again important coursework that I was able to use during my time at the mine. Software skills. You'll use this every day in, day out. AutoCAD is basically you'll use that every single day in the mine. Some of the more complex like Flag 3D, La Model, these are for ground control. So I personally did not have to do it as much, but my engineering manager was of ground control background, so he used it all the time. So I was able to assist him with some of that work. WindSim, VNet PC, CFD, these are some of the ventilation softwares. I use these a lot. I learned this in uh, college and I was able to use them every day. Now, being a young engineer, one of the good things is you get to play with a lot of technology. Some of the nice new toys in the mine would come to you first, since you are the millennial or the youngest engineer there. So I was able to use drones for coal pile survey and other things such as lidar and that we were using in the mine. So an example of something that I learned in university and had to use it in the industry. So on the left are some of the fan laws, basic pitot tube measurements, and uh, your workings of a mine fan. So some of the pictures on the left are what I learned in the university there. So one picture of there is my advisor showing us how to take measurements on a fan, uh, pressure differentials and velocity readings. We went to experimental mine in Missouri, Rolla, their mine, and we did some survey there. And a year from that, I went and became a ventilation engineer. I was able to do the same thing at a much bigger fan and developed a fan curve for the mine because we were having some issues with the manufacturer's fan curve. So we were able to develop our own, and those are some pictures and the same basic fundamental skills that I learned in university. I was using that in industry. Another example, mine planning. So, uh, like as a ventilation engineer, I was able to sit in a lot of mine planning meetings. So most questions were like how to optimize the ventilation system of the mine, or where the next panel should be, or like should we go this direction, that direction, or how many overcasts are needed. So these are some operational questions and short-term to long-term planning questions that I was able to answer based on what I learned in the university. So on the left we have like a scaled model of a coal mine, and those picture on the top are uh, some of the regulators. So one of the tasks during my MS was like to optimize the ventilation system using that regulators. And based on that knowledge, I was actually able to optimize the ventilation system of the whole mine on the right hand side, where there were like more than 20 regulators in the whole mine. It's same principles, same fundamentals that you learn in your college, you use them in industry. So your fundamentals are really important, and you can make a huge impact, save several thousands of dollars by using your fundamental skills. Research experience. So I'm currently working as a researcher at the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, NIOSH. The aim and the mission of this agency is to eliminate occupational diseases, injuries, and fatalities from the mining workplace. So NIOSH is a research organization, and it's part of the US government and falls under CDC. So it's located in Pittsburgh and Spokane. It was established in 1910. So my current research areas are very diversified, working in coal mining, shale gas wells, and stone mining, conducting long hole ventilation studies for coal mining and shale gas wells. We are doing studies of their interaction with the long hole mining, because a number of shale gas wells in Pennsylvania are drilled with long hole mines exist. In stone mining, large opening stone mines, I'm doing some ground control research using seismicity, stress monitoring, and displacement monitoring using LiDAR. So Being in research, yeah, you can diversify yourself a lot based on the place you are working at. So, where can you conduct mining safety research? Basically, so large mining companies have R&D departments. Pretty much all major mining departments in US universities have very good mining safety programs, and a number of professors have very interesting projects that they do that have improved mining safety a lot over the years. NIOSH, where I work, is one of the leading agencies in the US. CSIRO in Australia, CMRI in India. These are similar to NIOSH in different countries. Merarco, part of Laurentian University in Canada, is a great place. China has a number of organizations. So pretty much every country, mining country in the world, is conducting a lot of research. So find like good research places in your country if you are interested in that. So difference between industry and research. So responsibilities wise. So in industry, your responsibilities are mostly related to what you're doing. Like, as my responsibility as a ventilation engineer was to maintain the ventilation of the mine, or as a phase boss, we are maintaining the section. So, uh, like your responsibilities are very different when you are in research. Like in research, your responsibilities include writing grants, conducting experiments, uh, and like coming up with new ideas and conducting research in that areas, designing experiments. Those are your main responsibilities. So diverse commodities, this is one difference that so let's say you are working in an underground coal mine, you're mostly doing coal type of research or coal type of work, since that's your commodity that the industry you are working in. Being in research and based on where you are located at, you can do research in different commodities and work with different commodities. Like I mentioned in previous slide, I'm able to do stone, uh, learn about the stone mining as well right now. Outputs. In industry, your outputs are usually based on uh, like your day-to-day things. So like my outputs were optimizing the ventilation system. So the thing was if that whole thing is working correctly or not, and improving that. And it's much more immediate. Uh, like I can see, okay, there's a vent change, and if that thing worked or not. Whereas your output in research is a lot different. Like you cannot think in dollar numbers anymore because you are doing mining safety. Safety is your ultimate goal. So you cannot think about dollar in that sense. Uh, so your outputs are your publications in a way and other things, softwares, flexibility. So there can be some flexibility in the research. So like there can be time flexibility that you do not really have to go to work in a shift basis. There is more flexibility in time. uh, Collaboration, I think this is good for both. Industry has a lot of collaborations, and industry, they go hand in hand. uh, Deadlines, in research, your deadlines are mostly not as short term as they are in industry. So your deadlines are usually pretty far, and you can further, but again it requires much different type of time management, I should say. Salary, well, contrary to like popular opinion, actually salary in research industries, in research institutions and organizations, are very competitive. And I mean, they, some of the organizations obviously lack like safety bonuses and other things that you would get in a mine, but otherwise the salary is actually very competitive. Impact, so your impact in the industry, I would say, you can see sometimes very immediate impact. Like let's say you came up with a new plan, or you submitted something to MSHA and that got approved or not approved, so that's your immediate impact. But in research, impact can take several years sometimes. But impact can be very broad. So you are not only impacting one mine or your operation, but all the operations in the US, let's say. So how to decide? It's not a single question. I mean, it's a difficult question. It's based on your personality, what you like, and where you enjoy uh, more. So talk to people, and that can help you decide if you would like to pursue a career in industry or research. Immigration, I briefly touched this on. So pretty much everyone can get a job everywhere based on the current immigration rules. So this is for the employers in the room as well, because there has been a lot of misconceptions that who can they hire or cannot hire, and misconceptions about uh, in international students of where they can work or cannot work. So these are some of the visas. That H1 is employment based visas, and even as a student you can work in a number of companies through internships within your program and after graduation as well on OPT. So these are just some of the points. Once you are in working uh, H1 in research, one good point is that it's cap exempt, so you don't have to go through the lottery process for your H1 visa. But again, this is for a very niche part of the room, I would say. So if anyone if has any international student or engineer has a question for me, I'll be happy to answer based on some of the things I've learned. Young Leaders Program. During my 3 years time, I've been able to use a number of resources in Young Leaders. One of the best ones that I was able to use was the Emerging Leaders Alliance. So I was able to attend a conference in DC along with six other young leaders from SME and several other young leaders from the country. So this is one good thing. If you have the opportunity, please attend it. This was a great opportunity for me, and I've learned and I use this knowledge every day in my life. Some of the other professional development, career development webinars are also very helpful. So please do those and attend those as well. Well, thank you. I'm sorry I'm a little bit over time. It's hard to do via video. My contact number and my email is there. Please feel free to touch base with me right after this presentation or anytime. I'll be more than happy to answer your specific, general, broad, personal, any kind of questions. So, thank you. Thank you for listening to me via this. Never give up, keep mining. Thank you and enjoy time at this conference. Hope you have safe travels back. Thank you.